Hello everybody. Welcome once again to one more question of the essay section of IPMAT Indore 2024. So what we have in store for today is something tricky looking. There is a quadratic raised to another quadratic. So there is a quadratic in base and there is a quadratic in power, and they have been equated to 1. And we need to find out the number of real solutions. We don't have to solve the quadratic. We have to find not only solve the quadratic, but find all the number of possible values of x that this particular equation can give. So if I have to just think about it in an abstract way, again, I don't think this is a very, I don't think it's a question in an undoable category or to be left alone category. But yes, like all other questions that we have seen previously, this question does require application of some concepts. Okay. So what is basically the question given? The question is given in the form of a quadratic equation. Let's call this at Q1 raised to another quadratic equation. Let's call it Q2, and this is equal to 1. So something raised to something is 1. How is that, or rather when is that possible? That's all that we have to think. Okay. So something raised to something is 1. So there are a few possibilities. I would say exactly 3 possibilities here. What are those possibilities? Basically, I can say 1 raised to anything. You agree is going to be 1. So it doesn't matter what the power is. The base quadratic equation should be equated to 1. If the base quadratic equation is 1, we don't care what it is, the answer is going to be 1. Which means one possibility is that we say x square minus 15x plus 55 is equal to 1. You take 1 on the left hand side, you get a 54. X square minus 15x is equal to 54. The quadratic equation is a straightforward 54. So 9 into 6, 54. Minus 9 minus 6 will give us minus 15. So here the values are 6 and 9. I hope you understand. Okay, you don't really have to write everything. 1 goes to the left hand side, becomes 54, and minus 9 minus 6 will give us a 54. So the first possibility, 1 raised to anything. In this possibility, we don't have to bother about the power. Right. Second possibility is what? Second possibility is, now what we thought of was the base. Now let's think about the power. Anybody raised to 0 is going to give us 1 also. Correct? Any number, irrespective of any number in the base, if it is raised to 0, it's going to give us 1. Which means the second possibility that I'm going to think of is anything raised to 0 is also going to give us 1. Which means we will not bother about the base now, but the power, and equate the power to 0. If you equate the power to 0, which is x square minus 5x plus 6 equals to 0, and factorize the quadratic as it is again a very simple minus 5, and 2 into 3 gives us 6, minus 2 minus 3 will give us minus 5, which means the values here are 2 and 3. Quadratic equations, poor things, they are so simple within themselves. It's almost like, that they're too simple to be asked in IPMAT Indore, but yes, it has come. So if you understand their concept well, you just need to, solve one quadratic in the base, one quadratic of the power, and so on. Anyway, let's go on to the third possibility. Third possibility that I think is basically minus 1 raised to an even power. Minus 1 raised to even power is also going to give us 1 in the right hand side. So I'm going to first start with equating the base to be equal to minus 1. If I equate the base to minus 1, which means x square minus 15x plus 55 is equal to minus 1, then minus 1 comes to the left hand side. It is going to become what? It's going to become x square minus 15x plus 56. Okay, this is equal to 0. So again, minus 15 and 56, that should also be oral for you. Minus 8 minus 7 should give us plus 56, and minus 8 minus 7 will give us minus 50. So the values here are 8 and 7. Okay, very important is what we have to understand is, here only base being equal to minus 1 is not enough. The power needs to be even. Now, for the power to be even, see, what you understand here is basically these guys are what? These guys are consecutive numbers. We can write the power x square minus 5x plus 6 as what? X minus 2, x minus 3. Correct? Which means it can be factorized as x minus 2, x minus 3. When you put x as 8, when you put x as 7, what are you going to get is again consecutive numbers. And because you're getting consecutive numbers, you should know that if there are 2 consecutive numbers, one guy has to be even. And even into anything will always give us even. which means the power will always be even. So you don't really have to bother about it. Okay. So yeah, that's about it. I think we've got what? 2, 2 and 2. We have got total of 6 solutions for x, 6 values of x that is going to satisfy the quadratic raised to quadratic is equal to 1 equation. So yeah, I think this also was a very simple question, provided you know your concepts. Like all the previous questions, like I've said in all my previous videos, Indore is going to test you on your concepts, not on the basic solving or their calculation skills or anything of that matter. If you see, they could have, if you go to think about it, they could have given very difficult quadratic equations also. They could have given quadratic equations which you cannot solve by factorizing the middle term. You have to use formula, you will get some root signs and everything and all of that. They could have done that in the same question and there still would have been 6 values. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that with a particular reason, because they don't want to test your quadratic solving skills. They don't want to test your calculation skills. They want to test whether you know the concept of something raised to something equating to 1, how many possibilities actually arise. Okay, so that's what you have to understand. Think from a paper setter's perspective. That paper setter is not wanting to test basic calculation skills. They want to check how you've understood the concept in how much of depth. That is going to be the key when you take your actual IPMAT Indore. So yes, keep prepping and keep prepping really well and in real depths. All the best. Do well.